Hello there, everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Damien Bloodmarch. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous using this technology. I haven't quite used it a whole lot. But I thought I would use this new medium as much as I can to possibly, state my views on certain, how would you say, choices made for certain things. As a lot of you probably know, I am very much into the Gothic and Victorian style of dress and culture. And one thing that tends to exemplify that very much is probably the vampire. And a lot of you probably think I am, but I'm not, I can assure you of that. But I wouldn't mind sharing my thoughts on some views of vampires, because I do find them kind of charming in a certain way. And I thought I'd share my views at least on some different depictions of them, like in certain shows and books and whatnot. Most likely I'll be focusing on books, because that's where they tend to be, but I might go into some movie versions as well, but we'll see about that. The first one I am going to talk about, though, is the classic one that has many movies and many books written about him, Dracula, which he does have a lot of, he does have the style that I tend to style myself to, but there's also the story that he comes from Vlad the Impaler, who was someone in the past that inspired Dracula because of his very, very bloodthirsty ways. Kind of a joke there. But I do like Dracula the most because he is very well charming and whatnot. The second one that I am going to talk about is actually from kind of a newer series. I don't know how new you want to say it, but the vampires all in the series of the Night Huntress. It is very interesting because they do have Vlad the Impaler in that as well, actually, and it's very interesting how they play him. And that he doesn't like the Dracula and all that, so that's very, very funny actually. But how they depict vampires there is that they do have certain things and they have certain weaknesses, but they don't have the strong weaknesses in certain cases, which makes them feel slightly more real. And I would suggest being careful reading this series for some of the younger audience. But I would suggest it's a good read, though. And all the subsequent ones around the Night Huntress ones as well, kind of the spin-off series. They are very interesting. The next one I'm going to do is kind of along the similar veins of the Night Huntress ones, but it's called the Morganville, and this is for, I guess, the younger crowd, but not the very young crowd, like young adult. It seems kind of fitting, and it's a very similar depiction to what they have in the Night Huntress, but they do have a bit more of a weakness to the sun. You see, with the Night Huntress one, I've noticed that they don't have, they're more tired when the sun is out, and not, they can sunburn, basically. But for the Morganville series, they could actually burst into flame for the younger vampires, but the older ones have a bit more of a resistance, not weakness. Apologies. But and some of them have natural abilities that they've gained when they change that they don't necessarily have as humans, but it's specific to them in some cases, which is quite interesting as well. But it is it is more of a young adult book, I would say, and it is a fascinating read as well. I would highly suggest reading it as well. And the apologies again. I'm a little nervous here still. But the depiction of vampires in both of those seem very realistic, but still supernatural, which is very intriguing. And I also wanted to move on to one movie depiction of vampires that was interesting. It was in The Blade, which is more of a comic book spin-off movie sort of thing, which is interesting. But they depict vampires very similarly to how they were kind of in the Dracula times, and that they have the very big weakness to sun, but they also have silver weakness as well, and holy water, and they are quite an interesting fact as well. I never really read the comic book that Blade is based off of, but the movie is quite interesting. I might have to find the original comics and read them and see how they are, but that's quite interesting anyway. And the final vampire depiction that I was wanting to talk about is, and I'm sure a lot of people probably have heard of this one, the Twilight depiction of vampires. They tend to be... It's kind of... How I would say it is that they're not the best... I wouldn't say they're the best depiction of vampires. I mean, they do explain why they don't go out into sunlight very well, but it doesn't quite fit very well. I'm not saying it's a very bad depiction, it's just not one of my favorites. 'Cause the only reason I kind of actually know about them is my son actually read those books, and he actually liked them. But they're not for me, but he can like whatever he wants. I have no problem with that. It's just not one of my favorites. They don't seem quite real in my opinion, but that is again my opinion. But they do have some quite interesting fights, scenes, you could say, in the movies and in the books. It's quite interesting. But I hope you enjoyed this more of a listening thing than a video thing. I'm still not sure about how to use a camera for sure. So I might need to have my son help me with that later on, but I hope at least the audible, sounds like the book listening thing. Yes, I do know what that is, but I don't use it a lot. Real books are sometimes interesting, but the auditory thing of listening to maybe this, I do hope you come back and enjoy more of this channel. I was also borrowing a friend of mine's. I think his name is Mike, and his last name is Wiz. So, I do hope you enjoy this, and please subscribe to this channel, because the Impression Wiz, as he called it, is an interesting channel to watch if you want to see more. I would suggest watching the series Dream Daddy, because apparently there's a game that's based off of us. And check out all the other things as well. This last part is kind of how he wanted me to word it, but he and I are good friends, so thank you for watching, and please show some support to him. He's a very good man. And I guess I'll say this. If you want to see more of the content on this channel, you should subscribe. And if you want to not miss any content that is put out on this subscription, please ring the notification bell and make sure that you get all the notifications of the uploads. And as always, from him and from me, Damien, please have a lovely day, and he will see you next time. And good evening to all of you from me.